Because here's the thing, if you don't address the root, you're going to keep getting the same fruit over and over again. Think about a bush growing out in your yard, right? And say it's an ugly bush, it's producing fruit that you don't want, or it's just you want to get rid of it. If you just keep on hacking at the leaves, you'll never, ever get rid of that bush. Like, it's not going to happen. It's going to keep growing back. The only way to get rid of it is to go to the roots and pull the roots out. Well, that's what you have to do with self-sabotage, is keep asking yourself why until you get to the root of, oh my goodness. Like for Noble, like he said, the root of it was because he had this unworthiness. He didn't think he was worthy. Now, one way, and this isn't always true, but one way I feel like you'll know that you've hit the root of the issue is because you'll get emotional, right? Like it hits you different and you feel it you feel that in your soul when you've hit, oh yeah, that's it. That's the reason why I'm doing this, snap, right? And now you know this is the thing I have to work on.
Welcome to the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast. Like most business owners, you already know you need good business and marketing strategies to scale and be profitable. But at some point, you've hit the dreaded wall where you feel stuck and frustrated. EQ for Entrepreneurs is for business owners and leaders who are honest enough to admit that they just might be the ones holding their business back and are brave enough to change that.
We're Noble and Kathy, and every week we're having candid conversations about all things emotional intelligence and how growing that has allowed us to get out of our own way and is radically transforming both our businesses and our personal lives. This is the secret sauce strategy for modern entrepreneurs who are tired of hustling without seeing results and want to grow a business and a life that they love.
What is going on, entrepreneurs, leaders, and influencers? Welcome to episode 41, How to End Self-Sabotage. Here in EQ for Entrepreneurs, we love helping entrepreneurs navigate the emotional journey of running your business.
So before we jump into self-sabotage, I want to tell you guys about two things real quick you need to know about. So number one, we have created a new fun resource, free resource, just for you. It's called 3 Simple Ways to Get Off the Entrepreneur's Emotional Roller Coaster. And you know the roller coaster I'm talking about, right? As an entrepreneur, we ride this roller coaster. We have all these highs of expectations of profit and possibility. And then we plunge down to the bottom of discouragement and we get thrown on the corkscrew when we launch something and we wonder, is it going to go well? Is anybody going to buy this? And right, it is an emotional roller coaster. And that emotional roller coaster will eat you alive if you don't learn how to navigate that. So we created something that you can go and you can download now. It's a free resource. And it's just 3 simple steps that you can start doing right now to slow that roller coaster down and kind of get on the other side of it. So just go to eqforentrepreneurs.com/roller coaster, and we'll link to it in the show notes and you can get it there. Here's the other thing you're going to say.
Yeah.
All right,
so
go ahead.
check this out. We love hearing from you all. So I want to tell you a story about a buddy of mine named Cody, who's been following us along every episode from 1 all the way through the present.
We love you guys that are listening.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. And Cody was sharing a story about something he has recently dealt with in his church, actually. A dynamic where there's some issues potentially, he's just had some issues with some of the leadership and stuff, some of the different experiences among leaders and everything. And one of the things that he has shared is his emotional growth journey in dealing with some of this church environment that he has been, kind of dealing with, and not just for himself. He is making some big strides and changes in his emotional growth journey, where he's able to identify the emotions that he's feeling, process those emotions that he's feeling, but also they have implemented the same kind of concept with his family as well. They've got a 12-year-old daughter, and they are discussing regularly, daily, each other's feelings and emotions as a family to help increase their emotional intelligence, specifically in this area of self-awareness.
And that is super cool. That's one of the things that we always tell people is like, look, you're growing your emotional intelligence is going to help you first and foremost. And as you, as the owner, when you grow, your business can't help but grow, but it reaches into every other part of your life as well. It reaches into your family, it reaches into your relationships, and it has a positive effect everywhere. So that is so awesome. We love hearing your stories, and we want to share some more of those. We love when you guys leave us reviews. We read all of them. So please leave us reviews, rate us, whatever. We want to hear what you guys think.
And we love it too. This is a really important topic to me specifically, this particular episode. If you know anyone else that you feel or know that may be dealing with this whole self-sabotage deal, whether it's a family member, a loved one, a coworker, a colleague, someone in your business team, on your, in your company, in your organization, your staff, your employees that you feel is experiencing this or has experienced this before, we'd love it if you'd share this episode with them, because I think this will help them out a lot.
Yeah, we're talking about self-sabotage, and this one is deep. It's deep because it happens, and it's deep because it has happened to us. So let me just start with a quick definition. Self-sabotage is the act of undermining your own goals and dreams with unhelpful actions. It's you doing stuff to keep you from hitting your goals, from doing the things that you want to do. And we're going to give you 2 examples of self-sabotage, of ways that we have done this in our businesses, and kind of why, and then we'll talk through how we, stopped and are working on stopping. Okay, so for me, one of the areas that I was self-sabotaging in and not even realizing it had to do with conflict. I don't like dealing with conflict. I just don't like it. And the way that I would avoid dealing with conflict with other people is just by trying to be good. Because I thought if I was just good and I never gave anybody a reason to have conflict with me, or to be offended or to be hurt or to have anything negative to say to me, then I would never have to deal with it. Well, the problem is that is completely unrealistic, right? It is not only is it unrealistic to think that everybody's going to like me and nobody's going to have an issue with me. That's completely unrealistic, number one. But number two, it's a terrible way to live. When you are living to try to make sure everybody likes you and nobody has any issues with you, it's not really living, because there's no way to be truly yourself. So here I was always trying to figure out who I needed to be for this other person so that they didn't have issues with me, so that I wouldn't have to deal with a conflict, right? And so who was I? Well, it totally depended on who I was with, right? I was who I needed to be to not get into conflict so that I didn't have to deal with it. And I'm telling you, that's terrible. Like it's so much easier to just learn the skill of handling conflict, because number one, it's inevitable. And number two, it's a much freer way to live than it was trying to dance around everybody and just avoid it. Because what ends up happening is you end up playing small. You end up not pushing your limits. You end up not pushing or leaning into who you're made to be, what you're meant to do, because you're trying not to ruffle any feathers.
And for me, I've got at least 3 areas where I have been awesome at self-sabotage. Number one is in the area of relationships. I never had boundaries before in my relationships. And because I've never valued myself before, because I've had this unworthiness thing, which is a whole nother episode that I will be coming out shortly, in all these different areas of low self-image, low self-esteem. And there would be other people in my life that would treat me a certain way. I would let them. I would just continue to let them. Oh, I don't want to deal with it, or I deserve to be treated poorly because of, again, these areas. And so I would self-sabotage rather than stand up for myself and have proper, healthy emotional boundaries. I didn't. I'd let people walk all over me, take advantage of me, that kind of thing. And so that was one area. So in the area of relationships, where I would self-sabotage. Another area is my weight. I've been talking about entrepreneur roller coaster. I've had the weight roller coaster, where I've had, weight loss is pretty easy for me to lose weight. But as soon as I start losing 10, 15, 20 pounds and I start to feel really good, I would start to self-sabotage. Oh man, I don't deserve this, feeling healthy. I don't deserve looking thinner. I don't deserve being fit and living a healthy lifestyle. So then boom, guess what? I'd start to relax my discipline. I'd start to get lax in these different areas, and I'd just regain my weight. Another area that I've had self-sabotage that I've had to work on is procrastination. I've been an amazing starter at all kinds of projects, but I would never finish. The closer and closer to success that I would get, or the more success that we would accomplish or achieve in our different business ventures, that kind of thing, the more and more I would begin to self-sabotage. All subconscious. I would begin to procrastinate. I wouldn't finish work. I would get lazy. I would get all this stuff. I'd start to rationalize and make excuses for why I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, when really it was all about self-sabotage and feeling unworthy and self-condemnation and insecure and all this stuff. But again, ultimately it came down to self-sabotage.
So the place that it had to start with us anyways, it was self-awareness. We had to first get aware that we were even doing these things, that these things were happening. So I would say, number one, ask yourself, are there goals I've been wanting to hit but don't seem to be able to hit them? Right? Am I operating at my full potential? Am I noticing trends or patterns in my behavior or in others' behavior as a result of my behavior? Right? So, in other words, are the people around me getting angry at me for things that I'm doing or things that I'm not doing? Or are they feeling frustrated? Do I feel like I should be further along in my business, based on other factors? But I, for some reason, don't seem to be making any progress, right? All of those questions help to get self-awareness around, am I self-sabotaging, right? Am I doing this to myself?
Here's a second thing that you can do, just kind of like I just listed a few of my areas of self-sabotage. Make a list of those areas that you may recognize or observe where you may be self-sabotaging. List those areas.
Yeah, and write down why you would want to stop doing that behavior, right? Why does this matter to you? Why does this matter to your life and to your business? Like for me, I had to look at, okay, I have to figure out how to deal with conflict better, because I want these things in my life. I want better relationships. I want to be able to stand up for myself. I want to be able to live as who I am. I want to be able to work with people better, right? So write down a list of, why do you want to change these behaviors, and why is that important to you?
Here's another thing that you can do is ask yourself, what will your life look like if you don't change
Ooh,
this area of self-sabotage?
Yeah.
So so again, these different areas. So, and you can even categorize them again by health, fitness, family, finances, business, parenting, all these different areas that you may be observing. And then what will your finances look like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years with you continuing to self-sabotage? What will your health look like in 2, 5, 10, 20 years if you continue to self-sabotage? What will your business look like in 2, 5, 10, 15, 20 years if you continue to self-sabotage? What will your relationships look like, right? So, in each of those areas, what will your life look like if you don't fix this, if you don't give time and attention to working on this area?
Then ask yourself what those things could look like. What if you do overcome this self-sabotage? What kind of world does this open up for you? What possibilities does it open up for you? What does it make possible if you did work on that? Write that down, because that's going to be part of your why. That's going to be part. Here's the thing, you guys. All of this emotional work that we talk about on this podcast that we teach our students, like, this is hard work. This is hard. It takes effort. It takes intention. It's not always easy. And you need to know what you're working toward. Like, why am I wanting to do this? Sometimes it's to avoid a pain of not wanting to repeat certain behaviors so that you don't have that pain. But it also needs to be because of the benefits that are going to come with it. So make a list of what your life could look like if you did overcome this.
And next, ask yourself why. Why are you doing this? What's the deeper reason that you're sabotaging your progress? Is it maybe you don't feel worthy, like I mentioned before? Maybe it's the FOP, what FOS, fear of success, fear of people. You're afraid to try and fail. You don't think you can maintain it. People in your family have never been successful before. Again, however you define success. What is the story you're telling yourself, and what is the belief attached to that story? What is the story and the belief that you're telling yourself?
Right. And then ask why again. So for instance, if you say, well, I feel like I'm self-sabotaging because I'm afraid of success. Now ask yourself why. Why are you afraid of success? Where did that come from? Right. And see if you can dig down. Ask yourself why, several times until you can get to the root of it. Because here's the thing, if you don't address the root, you're going to keep getting the same fruit over and over again. Think about a bush growing out in your yard, right? And say it's an ugly bush, it's producing fruit that you don't want, or it's just you want to get rid of it. If you just keep on hacking at the leaves, you'll never, ever get rid of that bush. Like, it's not going to happen. It's going to keep growing back. The only way to get rid of it is to go to the roots and pull the roots out. Well, that's what you have to do with self-sabotage, is keep asking yourself why until you get to the root of, oh my goodness. Like for Noble, like he said, the root of it was because he had this unworthiness. He didn't think he was worthy. Now, one way, and this isn't always true, but one way I feel like you'll know that you've hit the root of the issue is because you'll get emotional, right? Like it hits you different and you feel it you feel that in your soul when you've hit, oh yeah, that's it. That's the reason why I'm doing this, snap, right? And now you know this is the thing I have to work on.
And one of the next thing is, in each of these areas, what's the truth, the real truth, not the story, this inaccurate story, the spin that you've put on it with this spin belief that you've put on it. What is the actual truth about you in these different areas?
So write that down. What is the new thought that you can train yourself to think when it comes to this area or comes to this topic? And notice I said train, because again, you're going to have to work on this. You're going to have to learn to recognize, oh snap, there I go. I'm doing this behavior. I'm self-sabotaging. Okay, no, it's because I'm unworthy. So here's going to be my go-to. These are the truths that I'm going to tell myself to help dig up that root and not have that continue to operate, right? And this is why we're really big on journaling, because when you journal, you capture, if you just think about something, you'll probably forget it the next day. But if you journal it and you write it down, now you've got something that you can refer back to and you can start training yourself to think differently about this particular area.
And here's another thing too, kind of one of the next steps is, what systems or processes of accountability do you need to put in place? Now, here's the thing, maybe like, again, when you're going through these new thoughts, having a list and maybe putting that up on your bathroom mirror, your refrigerator, your steering wheel, whatever, that kind of thing. Maybe alarms on your phone to remind yourself, reminders in your Google Calendar to pop up and as a reminder, that kind of thing. Realize this though, if you go straight to this step, like for example, a big thing in the self-development space is affirmations. Saying affirmations, which is important, right? It's important to speak to yourself positively. Most of us speak very, very negatively to ourselves. If you did a word budget inventory and assess what is the percentage of positive that you say to yourself versus negative that you say to yourself over the course of the day, most people, it largely is outweighed by negative comments. And we wonder why we're stuck and paralyzed in a lot of those spaces. Realize that affirmations and reading these positive books will not trump self-sabotage. Your self-sabotage will always trump your affirmations. And here's the deal, for some of you that are already doing your affirmations, or already reading positive books, why aren't you further along? Why aren't you getting more traction? It's because of the deeper emotional work, those roots. You're trying to change the leaves. You're trying to put new leaves on. You're cutting off some of the leaves. But you're, again, like Kathy said, that last one is you're not dealing with the root. So you can't skip to this step and expect that you're going to start getting massive traction. You got to go through those other steps, do that deep emotional work, give yourself time, space, and intention to work through this stuff, to grow through this stuff. And then as you start implementing these systems of accountability, then you will start to see some of these areas begin to get traction.
Yeah. And here's the thing again, I just want to touch on is keep in mind what's on the other side of all this hard work, because it's going to be hard work. But this hard work is so worth it, because on the other side is growth. On the other side is healing and emotional health. On the other side is freedom. On the other side is you being able to truly be who you are created to be productive in the way that you're created to be, is to develop a business that serves and impacts in the way that you want it to do. So keep that in mind of why you want to do this work.
And we've created a journal page to help you work through these steps at eqforentrepreneurs.com/41. eqforentrepreneurs.com/41. The link will be below in the show notes.
Yeah, and if these journal pages are helpful, let us know. We look and we see that. So there's been a bunch of you that have downloaded them. I hope you're using them. I hope you're keeping track of them. Like, work through this. Take your emotional health and your emotional intelligence very seriously. And we just want you to know that we're so proud of you for being on this journey of emotional intelligence and emotional health. Will you help us share this message? If you're listening, screenshot this, share it on social media, tag us. We're EQ for Entrepreneurs on both Facebook and Instagram
and YouTube.
And we just love hearing about your journeys and how this is impacting you in your lives.
Yeah, and we absolutely love helping entrepreneurs navigate the emotional journeys of running a business.